Happy New Year, everybody. I hope you all had a great, Christmas and holidays. And today we have with us Joseph Nelson, who is a regular at our show. He is the CEO of Roboflow, and he always brings so much value to the table. I love Roboflow. I've been recommending it to some of my friends' kids as well. One of the kids wanted to use something for their class project. So I just said that, okay, go high school kid, go try out Roboflow if you want to experiment with AI. And, Roboflow has been a great partner. It's a OpenCV Silver partner. And today we are going to discuss what are our thoughts on the trends for 2023 in computer vision and AI. So very glad to have you here, Joseph. And before we, go on to Joseph, I also want to invite or, introduce Phil Nelson, who is the Director of Content and Creative at OpenCV. And he puts together these shows every week. And he's responsible for a lot of other things at OpenCV as well. If anything goes wrong with this, it is Phil's mistake. Hi, Phil. And the two Nelsons are not related, surprisingly.
Absolutely not related. Like Buster and Babs Bunny, we are of no relation. Good morning, everybody. It is me once again, the co-host with the co-most, the second banana who is second to none, your plus one and only. It's Mr. Nelson if you're nasty, but you can call me Phil. I am welcoming you to OpenCV Weekly Webinar, episode 86, if you can believe that, our first in this year of Cthulhu 2023. We're going to be talking a little bit about the future of computer vision and AI, looking back at last year's predictions with the same guest, Joseph Nelson, which we're happy to have back again. We'll also be taking Q&A from you in the audience during the entire program, so please use the Q&A button on Zoom at the bottom of the screen to ask your question, or just type it into the chat system of whatever service you're watching us on: YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, etc., etc. We'll also be doing a special giveaway to you in the audience later in the episode. You'll have the chance to answer a trivia question, and if you get it correctly and are the first one to get it correctly, you'll win an OpenCV course of your choosing and also a Roboflow swag bag, probably. Can we do that, Joseph? Is that cool?
Absolutely.
Cool. All right. It's going to be a really fun episode. Back to you, Satya.
Yeah, welcome, Joseph. I think it's your show. Please start with a short introduction, and then we'll go over the slides and the presentation.
Our show, everybody. Yeah.
Our show.
See, we're both trying to not take responsibility for this. That's how good of a show it's going to be, everybody.
Yeah, I'm Joseph. It's great to be back. Looking forward to discussing what we were right about, what we were wrong about in 2022, and laying some groundwork for 2023. The tough thing about predictions is that they're usually wrong, but I think it'll be a good time.
Especially about the future.
No, that's right. Predictions about the future, especially wrong. But I actually think that it'll cause some good discussion. I think there's some places where hopefully we stir up some actual, controversy or disagreement in what might happen. That's usually what makes things more interesting. We'll engage the audience along the way. But in general, yeah, very, very happy to be here. Phil and I did put together a few set of slides here, so I can jump to that and make sure this looks okay. Can I get a quick thumbs up that
looks good?
We're looking good. Awesome. You may, if you are OpenCV regular or
orb there,
yeah, or an original, you'll recognize the orb, which is a Phil Nelson special. So you of course know us, you know our faces. In case you didn't see them on the screen, here they are on a slide. Looking forward to today's discussion. As you all know, I always like to give a lot of credit to OpenCV. They're always like, this is our show, people know us. I still think it's super impressive, the work that OpenCV does, and it's worthwhile to give a strong shout out to the 20 plus years that OpenCV has put into open source computer vision algorithm usage and broader adoption. I think over 1 million downloads a week of OpenCV packages, and now expanding or having expanded into everything from education to hardware to broadly education, and including now actually tools as well. So it's been an awesome bit of being able to partner with a fantastic organization that is such a foundational element of the computer vision ecosystem. So really appreciate the work that you all do. And we're, of course, ardent supporters of open source and create many of our own open source properties and products to support and like to support others in the ecosystem. So Phil or Satya, hopefully this does justice to the incredible work that you all feel you do. But if there's any sort of maybe special announcements or things that you think are cool to tease us with for 2023, I'm interested just as much as perhaps the viewers.
Yeah, so there's
Satya, go ahead.
Okay, so there's this OpenCV face recognition, which it was in beta last year. We announced it in the last quarter of last year, but now it is a full-blown solution. And it is, face recognition is one of those things that it is very expensive to keep working on it, right? It's not like you create one model and it's going to serve you for a long time. The technology keeps improving, and the more we keep demanding more and more from this technology. Earlier it was that, oh, if I have a mugshot, I should be able to recognize it. Now people want you to be recognized over your age, right? As you age from 17 to I don't know, all the way 40, 50. So OpenCV has partnered with Seventh Sense Technologies, and we have come up with OpenCV face recognition. And there is a free tier, but there is also paid tier for serious users. And this year we are very excited about launching it. And if people have not tried it, please go to OpenCV.fr for face recognition, OpenCV.fr, and you'll be directed to the right site. So that's something that I'm very excited about. Also, CVAT and Model Place, computer vision annotation tool, is under OpenCV's organization on GitHub now, and we are working closely with the team to make it even better. And we also have our ModelPlace.ai, which obviously Roboflow, and we work closely with Roboflow on integrating ModelPlace.ai with it as well. And hopefully, we are still in discussions, but hopefully we'll be able to do some kind of competition, etc., with Roboflow this year. That is something that I'm very excited about as well.
We're thrilled for that too.
Please let Roboflow know that you want to see that and how much money they should give us. Speaking of money, you forgot one thing, Satya, a very important thing. Today is the last day.
Did I forget to pay you?
No, you were on Johnny on the spot this time. I appreciate it.
Okay.
The OpenCV courses, this is your last chance to save 25% on OpenCV courses. That savings ends today, folks. So go to opencv.org/courses. You can get up to 25% off on the OpenCV course of your choosing. Invest in yourself, invest in your career in 2023. Start the year off with a bang by saving some money on some courses that will teach you how to do everything from PyTorch to basics of computer vision from the experts in the problem domain. So check that out.
Thank
please.
You so much.
opencv.org/courses.
Awesome. Yeah. Incredible batch of lineup. I actually have yet to play around with the facial recognition partner and tool that you all created. I'm looking forward to trying that out.
And we got one more thing here too. OpenCV will be attending the Embedded Vision Summit again this year, with the added wrinkle that we will be having a booth. So that will be something fun for me to figure out, I guess, over the next couple months.
Yes.
So check us. We'll give you more information on where to find us and when the everything's going on there. I think it's the May 22nd to 25th. So you can go to Embedded Vision Summit and register now. Don't miss your spot. I think that's about it for announcements.
Awesome. Fantastic lineup. I'll give a little bit of context on Roboflow. I think most people might be aware, but maybe some of the similar tech updates that we've shared in the last little bit. So I think for those that are unaware, Roboflow builds tools for engineers to add computer vision to their products. Everything from collection and organization to annotation and understanding what data to label to better improve models, training models rapidly, deploying those models wherever you want to run them, and closing the feedback loop so you can quickly and effectively improve models. It's extremely interoperable tool set. So you can plug in CVAT, you can plug in your own way of deploying, you can plug in your own sort of hardware along the way. And we really prioritize, as being engineers ourselves, building tools that make it easy for engineers to get to value more quickly and typically focus on more interesting problems. A little over 100,000 developers build with Roboflow's tools, over half the Fortune 100. We have large enterprise customers, and small budding startups and hobbyists alike. Turns out that computer vision is needed in a lot of places, so we're happy to power each of those things along the way. I think one other thing that the community knows us for, and honestly, it's more the community has powered this, is something called Roboflow Universe, which is the open source collection of data sets and models that users have created, demonstrated, and shown. On Universe, you'll find over 100 million labeled images for everything from like tennis balls to rust detection to identifying. We've seen a lot of stuff in like sports domains recently, industrial use cases of understanding any sorts of defects or counting of objects, or really kind of everything in between. I continue to be surprised and impressed of all the, I've often said, from like under a microscope to through a telescope and everything in between truly is kind of represented in this domain. And over actually now over 10,000 pre-trained models that might be useful in some of the things that we're talking about with the OpenCV team, and making those be increasingly accessible in various places across the web, including ModelPlace. So this is more of a thanks and a congrats to the community more than it is anything Roboflow. We're kind of like making this infrastructure, but ultimately the community and users are those that are powering it to get to the next level. The last webinar that we did was about some of the work that the community has done to advance beyond the COCO benchmark, and we released some research. If you go to rf100.org. What's that?
Your nemesis, the COCO benchmark?
No. Purely complementary, actually. I think that like COCO, of course, extremely useful for understanding the value of a model and its performance. And also people are using models where COCO is not representative. Aerial imagery, microscopic imagery, these sorts of things. It is more fun to make it sound like a nemesis. Everyone wants to have a good nemesis, but the truth is the COCO data set is too good and too useful to pretend as if it shouldn't be a part of the computer vision ecosystem. So yeah, I'll drop that link in the Zoom chat, but it's just rf100.org for checking out some of that research along the way. And yeah, I gave an overview for the tooling. We can talk more about this if there's questions or Q&A that pops up, but we have a lot of big plans for 2023, including some big stuff coming out even yet next week. So I'm excited to share those things with the community and the team shortly. Without further ado, I say we get into the meat of the show. What do you all say?
Yep.
So I think the first thing that Phil did a good job of is pulling our 2022 predictions that Satya and I 1 year ago put together and shared, of his thoughts, my thoughts, of things that we thought would change in the computer vision field. And I think that we did ourselves some favors by making our statements almost like so general that it's like computer vision itself is growing so quickly, it's very difficult to be like, oh, that's wrong. Like in general, if you're like, there's going to be more computer vision, you're probably going to be right. So we did benefit from our way of framing that, but I still think there's things that we missed too, even with trying to be big tent and inclusive of ideas. So I think maybe it'd be cool to first kind of start with the things that we anchored and predicted, and then talk about some of the biggest misses we had. And I think we were talking about some of these before the show that I think we're both aware of. So areas that we thought would take off: expansion into new fields, edge AI, robotics, augmented reality, virtual reality. Where do you think we hit? Where do you think we missed on some of these, Satya?
I mean, as you said, that we did benefit from making, these are broad statements, right? And because computer vision is taking off in a very big way, all of these have benefited, right? One can argue that augmented reality, virtual reality did not have that big of an impact, right? But in edge AI, robotics, and
possibly
rapid
even
expansion,
regressed slightly in the virtual reality space, I would say, over 2023. I think the bloom is off the rose, as they say.
I agree. I mean, and Meta, if you look at the stock market, the Meta is being punished for its big investment in AR and VR. But one little thought on AR and VR is that the level of investment Meta is making, it's not trivial, right? They're betting the company on this. And, there's this, some analysis that Chamath, who's a big investor, had done. And his thing, Meta is going to spend about $250 billion. That's a big B right? $1 billion over the next 10 years on AR, VR, which is equivalent to the Apollo program, right? Nothing compares to the level of investment that they are going to make. For example, just to compare with iPhone, the total investment in iPhone before they started making money was about $3.5 billion, right? Compare that to $250 billion that Meta is planning to spend, which so nothing compares to this kind of investment. So who knows, what kind of magic can happen when you're pushing so hard on a problem. On the other hand, we have I don't want to ding my friends on in Magic Leap, but Magic Leap also raised a lot of money. Last I can't even remember the numbers, but last I checked, it had raised about $500 million even before having any product out. And when
basically
they came out with
on those two big, they had a couple of video demos, edited video demos, and then everyone lost. This was 2 years ago, but I think, wow, yeah.
Yeah. So, and then the final thing is, Magic Leap came out with these augmented reality glasses, which are pretty cool. But one can ask, whether it is $500 million cool, right? The glasses are very impressive.
There's a reason they don't publish sales figures. I'll say that much.
Right. So in that case, in that way, you could say that it is a slight disappointment. But I still think that there is so much investment going on in this area, and Apple is also going to invest. There are rumors that Apple is going to come up with something, and so there is still potential, and that's why in 2023 also I'm going to predict that this is a hot field. So and one of the reasons on these webinars and other places when I put out these predictions, right, it is also for people to adjust their careers, right? I mean, if they want to go into AR, VR, should they just step back and say that, oh no, this is not happening, let me go into some other field? The answer is no. I mean, this is still a very hot field. We don't know exactly how things will pan out, but it is still a very hot area of both research and development. Yeah, AJ and all others, it's, they grew pretty rapidly, right? AR, VR was the only one which you could say that, okay, it's on the fence.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, the top three here are all pretty in line with the broader trend of adoption of AI and ML. It'd be very difficult for the field to slow down. And maybe it's more interesting to make a prediction of like how much adoption, because then you can actually say over under where you ahead or behind, so to speak. But I agree. I think the big miss here is I don't know that I would have put it over 50%, but I at least thought we would see maybe a bit more from Apple's headset release, which was rumored to be last year. Now it's rumored to be
anything from it, right? We haven't seen anything.
That's right. That's right. I mean, yeah, the rumor mill is quickly churning for this year, but I don't know that that's so different than how it felt last year. So it's very tough to approximate these things. And I think that I would not have probably predicted the decline from the market's perspective of Meta's investment in the metaverse. So I'd say this was the area where there was a miss. What do you think for 2023? Do you think we'll get Apple's headset? Do you think Facebook will Meta will rebound? You think Snap will demonstrate what's possible with AR, ML?
Yeah, so I have to put out a disclaimer that we are working with one of the large companies on AR, VR. So there is this inherent bias that things will take off. But I think it's a longer bet. Nothing is going to change substantially in terms of, if you're looking at stock market valuation, et cetera, that Meta is being dinged for, none of that will change in 2023. It is the long-term bet that I'm very hopeful about. And I think it is about time that Apple should enter this game. I mean, they have been working on this, but Apple should enter this game. I'm hoping this year. Snap, I'm not very familiar with all the stuff that they are doing, but they have those glasses which are very interesting. So
Snap has been doing tons of really interesting stuff with content creation, like the lenses and doing really pretty accurate, really fast on device, 3D mapping of faces and remapping of people into different scenes and scenarios. They've been doing a lot of the tooling stuff, a lot of getting people into development for these, but I can't remember the last time I used Snap. It's been forever.
I think I would bet on Snap. I would. I think that like if you look at like recent now we're turning into market analysts. This is not investment advice. Do not trust it.
My 15-year-old nephew still uses Snapchat, so there's your.
But I mean, their most recent like kind of quarterly figures is sort of like their user growth exceeded expectations, but the monetization of that user base didn't exceed expectations. And I feel like that's probably directionally where you would flipping those things would be worse than the opposite, right? Like I think growing users and figuring out a way to provide value to those users is a better problem to have than not being able to grow users. And so I think they're well poised to, I mean, in some ways you could argue presently they might be the largest AR company. The number of people that use lenses every single day might be larger than any other AR experience. And so I think that they could parlay that into something else. I saw in the chat someone mentioned their drone project. I know they shut that down, and they had these sort of like more extraneous bets that they certainly had to get down and focus of the thing that they do especially well. But I think that it is a well poised company doing some pretty innovative stuff in AR, ML, CV, and I think it's a lot of people's first touch point with CV.
And some of that may be flowing back into the mothership for them as well, because Snap is not an independent company.
No.
So one other thing I want to point out is that even though it's not computer vision related, but the analysis of the market is relevant, because just think about this one change that Apple made. Apple made advertising, user tracking on mobile devices difficult, and that led to billions of dollars of lost revenue for Facebook, Snap, etc., which has impact on how much investment they can make in AR, VR, etc. Right? So they are kind of intertwined. You have to keep
good point.
Those things in mind.
Yeah, it's tough to. I think that's a big part of the Meta/Facebook story at this point, which is they're like Google, like Alphabet, extremely, you might say, extremely over leveraged and over reliant on advertising. So every little ripple in the advertising business just throws their stuff into chaos in terms of earnings projections, in terms of everybody's budgets, in terms of firing 20,000 people, suddenly with very little headway for the people to try to find new jobs and get new insurance and stuff like that. And so hopefully that maybe they're kind of learning that advertising is not the golden goose, as it were.
Yeah. Oh, I was just going to keep us moving, but Satya, if you had a quick thought on that as well.
Well, I had an additional thought on computer vision, which did not take off in a big way. Fortunately, it was not in my predictions, and it was on decline already. The autonomous driving effort, right? It has, in my opinion, it's not stalled completely, but it has slowed down a lot, right? A lot of companies have stopped their, for example, Uber back in a couple of years back. Yeah, so they stopped all this. Many small companies who were working in these areas, they are either stopped completely or there has been a decline in the autonomous driving effort for sure.
Yeah, the amount of investment in number of companies. At the same time, I was able to take a cruise where they have autonomous driving rolled out in San Francisco and now Austin, Phoenix, and it was pleasant. It was extremely pleasant. It was more inexpensive than any comparable cab opportunity. And initially you feel it's like a little eerie to kind of get into a car and you're the only one there and you're in the back seat. But ultimately,
it's a little Twilight Zone-y the first time, I would say. Yeah,
it is. It is. But ultimately,
it's weird. It's weird seeing them on the street too. I live in downtown San Francisco, and I do see there's a couple other companies that have these, and like it is kind of odd just to I'll be walking down the street and somebody will be at a stoplight and there's a car with nobody in the front seat and a person in the back, and it's just still takes your brain a second to process what's going on. You're like,
And it's funny, like that'll feel commonplace probably to, we were talking about our younger nephews before the show started, to them, like maybe them or their younger peers. So definitely macro wise, it's gone slower and there's less investment, there's fewer businesses. At the same time, there has been pretty meaningful progress. Like there is self-driving vehicles that you can hail with an app in 3 cities so far. That's pretty awesome. Yeah. Cool. I think maybe we can talk about some of the places that
let's keep rolling.
Talk about some of the other ones. So some ideas that I had shared was, we both agreed on edge computing, the demise of Coco. This was sort of like a joke that we shared at the top of the show. It's less about its demise and more about its ability to be complemented by other needs. I think the latter two insights are areas where, again, like it's difficult for these to be, if AI and ML are growing, it's difficult for these to be incorrect. Now, whether they grew faster than I would have expected is probably a more interesting question. I think mutable data sets continue to be proving to be the future. I think one thing that, kind of has become prominent is some zero shot capabilities. I don't think it's quite there yet, but it's getting close with like OwlBit and some others for like zero shot object detection or zero shot classification with CLIP. But I think it still requires some fine awareness of individual data sets, and then certainly model interpretability. I mean, this will I would bet on this continuing to grow at a faster rate as the needs for domain specificity, understanding triaging results, understanding failure cases, where to improve is certainly going to grow. I mean, like a lot of these predictions, we just have to remember that the folks that are probably on this call are so deeply in this field every single day that sometimes we forget that it's probably like only touched a small single-digit percentage of the economy so far. And so like a lot of this stuff will just be orders of magnitude larger, and it's very difficult for us to, as humans, to wrap our minds around like exponential growth, which is where a lot of these principles kind of fall.
I think a lot of people have, sort of baseline knowledge now. They know that AI is a thing, or what we call AI is a thing. And they maybe know some cool looking images people made with it, or they hear about something like, self-driving cars that'll probably never happen, like outside of major cities. As soon as you take them out of the grid, they really tend to struggle. But they don't really understand what it is or how it's being used. And mostly how it's being used is kind of invisible to them unless they work in logistics or warehouses or things like that, where it's gotten a pretty big uptake over the last several years and made a lot of those processes safer and cheaper and easier to deploy for people.
So I think some of the places that we were talking about that like we had in our predictions, and this is like things that like we thought might happen that did or didn't happen. Satya mentioned areas where he didn't predict and didn't happen. There's this other quadrant of didn't predict and did happen. And that's where there were some big misses, I think, from us. Satya and I were talking, I think one of the biggest areas is the explosive growth of generative models with Stable Diffusion, DALL-E, Midjourney, these products and services that just kind of take the ability of image text pairing and multimodality and take it to a new level of magic. And it's funny how quick we as a society like go from like this thing that feels like magic to just being commonplace. You know what I mean? Like at the very time trying DALL-E, trying Stable Diffusion, it's just like an incredible like whoa. And now it's just like, oh yeah, of course you can type what you want and get an image of the things that you want. And like that's still such a notable, miraculous advancement. And I think Stable Diffusion has been is one of the fastest technologies to reach 1 million people. ChatGPT reached, 1 million people in 5 days. There's these generative technologies, both in language and text, that
super memeable, super shareable.
Yes. Yeah. So I think that was one like big miss of something that I didn't realize how big and prominent and fast growing generative imagery would be.
I frankly just think it would become good enough. What about you, Satya?
Well, I have the story. I cannot name the founder who I talked to, but one of those companies that you mentioned, it's in there. So I had a chat with him about 8-9 months back, right? And he was telling me this idea about how artists can be, the whole art world is going to change, and he's building this thing because, and he told me that he's going to produce this thing, and, which you type in text, and I already knew about the technologies involved, etc. And it would be for the art world, etc. And my question to him was that all this is fine. First of all, I don't think we'll get the quality that you think would be art worthy, right? The second thing I thought was that he won't be able to make money, right? Even if because it's so expensive, to process, and you won't be able to make money, right? And 9 months later, he came back to us saying that first of all, because we run consulting, a consulting group, he came to us asking for two things. First of all, he said that he needs help with the models, right? So he could not hire people fast enough. So we started assisting him and his team. His team was still very small. And he told me that he is scared he's making so much money, right? He doesn't know what to do with it. And he was also doing some consulting on the side.
To have, isn't it?
Yeah. So he was also doing some consulting on the side, and he said that, can you actually take over that consulting part for me, right? I'll not keep any profits or anything. I'll just let it pass through. I just don't want any distractions. I want to focus on this. So that is how badly I had missed the thing, right? Somebody telling you, like, this is what it is going to be, and you hear it, the technology, you're familiar with what is in it, and you still miss how fast it will grow and what quality it would produce, right? And now it turns out that we are using GANs and diffusion models in our consulting business also, serving other clients. So that was a very big miss from me. I completely missed it. I mean, even though I was seeing these things happening, I just did not feel that it would be this good. In fact, I spent $16 on Lensa to create some pictures for me and my kids. And I did not think, I've never spent anything on a photo app ever, right? So that tells you something.
Yeah, it's become sort of towards the end of the year, the middle end of the last year, the generative images really became a sort of mini gold rush, like cottage industry. And I think one of my predictions for 2023 is we're going to see a crunch of, consolidation.
That's part of the game that we're going to play later. That's awesome. We might as well jump on into it, right? So
yeah, let's keep rolling.
Okay. So here for 2023, I think what would be fun is we play a I'll just jump to this slide introducing a little game where, so I mentioned that with 2022 predictions, it was, a lot of them are broadly easy to say, oh, X is going to grow because the field itself is just growing so quickly. So I think it might be fun to say, for each trend, would you buy this trend? Would you sell this trend? Would you hold this trend? And these are trends, of course, that we were able to come up with here. Maybe there's other areas to discuss that, just because they're on the slide doesn't mean it's the only possible things that can happen. See generative models that we were speaking about a moment ago that we didn't even think about it, and it grew way, way quicker. But I think this will generate some fun, natural discussion. And I welcome the audience to do the same. I did it with emoji so that it's a kind of a fun, quick, easy way. The upward graph emoji, the downward graph emoji, and the equal sign emoji for how you might feel about each of these. So to be specific, it's that there will be something that will be stated. And you would say, if you think this thing is going to grow faster than it grew in 2022, then this would be a trend that you would say, buy. This is one that I think is going to go up. If you think it's going to grow slower than it did in 2022, then it's a sell. And if you think it's pretty similar, then maybe it's a hold. Okay. So without further ado, let's dive in. So first one, the rate of model improvement measured by models beating Cocoa. So it's not just models beating Cocoa, it's the rate at which models are beating Cocoa. So for example, if there were only 3 models that beat Cocoa in 2022, you'd expect that there's going to be 5 or more in 2023. So do you think this is a buy, sell, hold? How do you all think about this one?
So so it says the rate of model improvement measured by models beating Cocoa. So you're saying that there would be other data sets that people would want to use.
Not about the data sets, about the models. Basically, do you think that like there will be more, do you think cocoa, the benchmark, will be broken more times or fewer times in 2023 compared to 2022?
Okay. I think it will be broken more times. We are still, you know, in that upward swing. The saturation has not happened. So it's a buy for me.
I agree. That's same reason it's a buy. I think maybe this is the year that we see the demise of cocoa, as you predicted last year incorrectly.
Yeah, I would rate this as a buy as well, though I think that's not mutually exclusive with cocoa saturation, and we'll talk more about that in a moment. Okay, the adoption of YOLO v3. Do you think there will be more of this than 2022, about the equal amount, or less of this?
YOLO v3 is old news. I mean, we don't use it anymore. We have not used it for a long time. I'm saying that it will be much less. I mean, if you put other versions of YOLO, right, then yes, the YOLO family, I mean, it's as our cousins or whatever you call it, right? The extended family, that adoption would grow, but I don't think YOLO v3 in particular would grow at all.
Seems reasonable as well to me. I think, I mean, I'm already seeing anecdotally on LinkedIn way quicker adoption of the newer YOLO flavors like YOLO v7, which is the new hotness, as it were. And so I think, yeah, the older YOLOs seem to be, unless you have one already deployed somewhere and it works, which if it works, why change it? But I think less and less use of the older YOLOs. It's a sell.
I think it's a sell or it's equal. Here's the argument for equal. If you think the field is growing extremely quickly, even if the percentage adoption of YOLO v3 is down, if the field is growing faster than this market share, if you will, people that are electing to use YOLO v3, then I think it could end up being an equal. That's sort of like me just trying to be a contrarian. Overall, I think sell is the way to. The
actual number may go up just because the industry is getting larger. I understand what you're saying.
Right. Just trying to cause some discussion. Okay, so the number 3, and I'll just put a number 3 in the chat so people can see the separated answers. Ease of use and diversity of use cases in object detection, segmentation, and classification is greater than 2022. Basically, do we have faster rate of growth of use case adoption and ease of use of these 3 techniques compared to 2022? So of course there's going to be more, but will the first derivative, or the second derivative, will the rate of growth be greater?
I think that's a buy for me.
Yeah, a buy for me as well. I mean, like I said, that we are just looking at the tip of the iceberg in many of these areas, and I'm constantly surprised how many different things. You know, if you ask me to create a list of computer vision applications, right, I can come up with a very large list, but I'm surprised I'm still missing, areas where people come up to me and, this was also an area that I had never thought about. But once you see the area of application, it's obvious, right? So there are these areas that we don't know about, and the people are just knowing more and more about AI. And these are the 3 main problems in computer vision. So I think both ease of use and diversity of use cases will increase. I mean, you're seeing that the same trend at Roboflow. Look at the number of data sets you have, 100K or more, right? That's just the data sets, right? And multiple models will be created from that.
Here's a little stat that we haven't shouted about that I think will be fun. We always like to break some news on the OpenCV webinar. 600 gigabytes of data daily added to.
Wow.
So yeah, so I'm a clear buy on this one. The rate of growth is going to be faster. The scale and impact of these technologies is only going to increase with time. We're in the early innings here. So not only is the first derivative, the rate of growth itself, positive, but the second derivative, the rate of that growth, is also positive. I think we're on a nice ascending slope. Okay, cocoa saturation. You see improvements on the cocoa benchmark at smaller increments. So in other words, for something that beats cocoa, the next thing that beats cocoa is by a smaller amount. or do you think it'll be, relatively the same amount of, let's say like, the current soda we'll say is, 60 MAP, and then someone produces 61 MAP. Do you think it'll be then 62, 63? Do you think it'll be lower, like 60.1, 60.15, 60.155, So this is the debate.
Yeah, it's getting closer. I mean, for me, it is the equals, hold kind of situation.
Yeah, it's tough to say. I mean, so you do see things like, for example, with the face recognition, the NIST rankings on face recognition, those are getting real tight. Like we're talking fractions of a percentage, improvement on those. And but I don't necessarily see that happening with Cocoa per se. I honestly think it's more likely that I think it's probably there's either going to be this here as you described, or there's going to be some big jump from some new unknown thing that happens that it bumps a huge percentage and everyone's just stops using the old ways.
And also I want to re-ask the question whether this is does cocoa saturation mean that it is actually performing better on cocoa by the benchmark, right, but not as good in the real world? That's another interpretation of cocoa saturation, that it is actually the numbers look good, but in the real world, it's not doing as well.
I think that's a good take.
That is definitely going to happen. Yeah.
I think that's a good take. I agree with that. Well, yeah.
As people build for the benchmark, to get some name recognition or whatever. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I think I'm similarly in equals on this one. What about this one? Edge deploys. Edge deploys grows faster than it did in 2022. So does the rate of edge deploy go?
That's an easy buy for me.
Easy buy for me as well.
I would be extremely surprised if somehow it would be pretty catastrophic for a lot of people. I feel if it didn't grow quite a lot this year.
And I'm thinking that it has a lot to do with tools, right? Because one easy to use tool can change the game for a lot of these applications, right? I mean, and it doesn't take a lot, is what I'm saying, for edge deployment to grow much faster, right? It's already there. A lot of companies are working on it, right? And a few of them are really good, with the edge deployment.
I'm
for Roboflow, of course, one of those.
100%. Yeah, I'm also similarly a strong buy here. I mean, the amount of what we see for people wanting to deploy to Pi, to Jetson, to iOS, to very easily have those run in a performance accelerated runtime. Absolutely. The only dark horse here would be hardware availability. Like if we think hardware availability is that much harder, but I do think that overall
still tough. Yeah.
Overall, it's certainly going to increase. All right, number 6, object tracking ease of use. This is a place where there's not been a lot of movement, so I think it's kind of an interesting one. Do you think there's going to be new architectures released that make this simpler, faster, and easier? Like FastMod, for example, and some of these others.
So object tracking has been more difficult than I initially thought it would be, right? The progress has been slower than expected. Like, for example, if we train even a person detector, right? We can use the same model elsewhere, right? Where the camera angles are the same and things like that. It works reasonably well. But when we go to tracking, usually we have to fine tune for a specific use case on that specific situation. Let's say you built object tracker for track sea lions, right? But if you go to a different situation, let's say a different environment, then that tracking needs to be usually fine-tuned more than let's say object detection. And I'm not 100% sure why, because you need to keep the identity of this object while tracking, right? You have to know the identity, and that identity, because it's fragile, right? Because it can change very easily. based on how the lighting changes as one moves through the scene and things like that. So it's been more difficult for some reason or the other, right? And yes, it will get simpler, but I don't know by how much, right? It is, we are not seeing breakthroughs. We are not
Will we
seeing
see a
big
breakthrough?
breakthroughs.
That's a good question. Will we see a breakthrough here versus some of the incremental progress? I know certainly that it will get easier. Will we see a breakthrough architecturally? I'm probably a hold. And I don't think it's because it's not possible. I actually think that this is comparatively, the research community is less interested with this than like multimodality and some of the and generative and some of these other things.
It's maybe boring to them, and so that's why we're seeing some stagnation, is in another way to say that, maybe.
Potentially, yeah. So I think that like it will basically, I think this will get easier. I think object tracking and architectures will get easier. Will it get easier at a faster rate? Not necessarily. That's where I'm at on this one.
Right.
Same idea for key point.
Key point is pretty good now. I mean, for a lot of applications, let's say you want to do facial key points, right? Those things are pretty much nailed to a large extent for most applications, right? So even, human body pose estimation, that works really well and at a very fast pace. There are other ones, you could say 3D key points, using a single image, and those kinds of problems, right? People would benefit a lot from it. But then the data sets, there are a few data sets out there, but not as much as regular key points. So I would say that it is a hold. There is not much. The current technology works perfectly fine for a lot of these things. So, the progress would be very incremental, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think a good way of putting this is the adoption certainly will increase. The research will be equal.
Yeah,
I like that. Oh, here is a fun one. A different YOLO model, YOLO v5, which has grown fast. So here's what's interesting about YOLO v5. It's continued to grow faster than YOLO v7, even with YOLO v7 out, which is why this one's also in here. So do you think that YOLO v5 will continue to grow faster in 2023 than it did in 2022?
Yeah, so the advantage of YOLO v5 is that it does have, the APIs are very good. It's easy to use. It's all those things. And people who have already adopted YOLO v5, they would look for a reason. There has to be a very good reason for switching to YOLO v6, v7, right? And that delta doesn't seem to be there that much. You're good. It's good enough. I'm not seeing a big jump, right? For example, from YOLO v3 to v5, or let's say between YOLO v4 and v5, people could say that, oh, I'm able to use PyTorch. So that itself is a big enough improvement for me, and I'm going to use YOLO v5, right? So a lot of people would switch because they are able to use PyTorch, right? Compared to YOLO v4. And it was not really a switch because they were just months apart, right? 1 month apart or so. But the adoption, people who are looking to switch from YOLO v3 to a better model would go to YOLO v5 because of PyTorch. And it was also, doing very well. So I don't see that level of adoption unless there is another model that is significantly better, is my take on this.
So buy, sell, or hold, Satya?
Hold, I would say hold, right? Because there is always this chance that another, I like to say that don't come up with YOLO v8 now. You should just turn it around, the 8, and call it YOLO infinity, and then nobody. So there is all,
Oops, I didn't mean to go. I think that we will get some big news on this front shortly, is what I will say. And I will drop
cough.
I will drop a link in the chat. If people want to know more about that news, is what I will do. I'm excited about what this implies for people. That's just a newsletter sign up is all that link is. But there's some pretty notable things that are brewing here that I think cause this to be equal or even potentially a sell. And more on that more on that this month.
Okay, that's interesting news.
All right, text to video generation. So this is more like, do we think we'll get a breakthrough here in 2023?
Oh yeah, it's a huge buy for me. There's too much money going into it to not see some massive improvements.
Yeah, there's a lot of people involved and a lot of companies working on these things, right? So, and all the top ones, right? Microsoft came up with something. There's a lot of momentum here, so it's an easy buy.
Pockets.
Yeah, I think we will get a breakthrough. I think it's the next natural evolution. You see text to image, you see text to 3D point cloud, text to video there's been small versions of it already that have been created.
Yeah.
We're definitely going to see a breakthrough here. All right, 10. Will we have more transformers in computer vision? I think that's kind of like an easy yes. I think the interesting question is, will transformers set the state of the art? Will they set the state of the art in computer vision? Because they have not actually. There's been something. So like CNNs have yet to have done a better job of summarizing groups of regions of pixels, and even the architectures that include transformers still include some convolution. So I think an interesting discussion here is, do you have a transformer only based architecture that sets state of the art in computer vision? Or is there always some level of convolution that's happening? There's going to be more transformer papers. That's an easy buy, but is there going to be?
That's an easy one.
Yeah.
Right.
And will they be Autobots or Decepticons?
What was that?
They're robots in disguise.
I actually think. Right. I'm having a hard time thinking that CNNs would be easily displayed this year, right, from their top position. So I would actually, 2024 things may be different, but this year, I don't think it would be the year of the transformer in vision.
Yeah.
I might be eating my words next year, being, ashamed of what I said.
Yeah.
But such is the nature of technology.
Right. Yeah. I think clear buy that there will be more transformer papers. That's a given. Will we have a transformer only architecture that hits state of the art? The rate of progress makes me just bet on yes. Though I can't comprehend what it would look like. But that's, I'm not the one that'll figure it out. So I'll buy. I will buy. I think it'll be tough, but I'll buy. Video understanding. Will we get a breakthrough here in zero-shot video understanding?
I see. So buy for me in 2023. I see something, one or two big things happening there.
This one is a slightly difficult one for me because I don't know enough. I tend to know a lot about things that we work on our consulting in our consulting project, right? This is slightly in a more researchy domain that I don't have a clear understanding of, right? But so what do you mean by multimodality to understand? What does multimodality mean here?
If we you could say pass in a video.
Voice. With voice?
Could be voice, but I was thinking probably text would be the interface of go to the scene where you see the blue water bottle or
that kind of thing. Oh yes, this is a buy.
Yeah,
I misunderstood the question. Sorry. Yes.
What did you think? That actually sounds more interesting. What did you think it was?
So video understanding, I was immediately drawn to fraud detection, right? Where an action is happening and we are trying to figure out whether this is fraud or not, right? Because it's just that kind of, we have solved some of those kinds of problems in consulting, and they are very difficult to solve in a generic sense. They are easy to solve if you constrain the problem enough, where you say that, these are our metrics. Oh, somebody is grabbing 10 cases of wine then from a cooler, which we are monitoring, then it's probably fraud, right? That kind of thing we can do, right? But solving it in a very generic way, it's difficult. And that was my thought process when I was saying that I don't know enough about this.
Yeah.
But if you are saying that, in a video, look for something, right? Then that is a clear buy for me.
We have two more really fast, and I know we're coming up on time, so I'm going to do the last couple really quickly here. Visual Q&A. Do we have models like Flamingo that will be production ready, displacing fine-tuned models? So Flamingo, let me just jump out of Flamingo is like the DeepMind. This if you caught this, where you can kind of like, here's a nice little video demo. So here's an image, and then you can ask the model, what is in this picture? And it gives you, it's a bowl of soup with a monster's face on it. What is the monster made out of? It's made out of vegetables. No, it's made out of fabric. Can you see what kind? It's made out of wool and fabric, right? Or over here, like it can do the famous Stroop test here, or say the name or say the color, but don't say the color, state the color of text. This is a
sort of like the opposite of those customer support chat bots that are omnipresent on the web now.
Yeah. Yeah, so it kind of knows it's a test. So yeah, so I mean,
that's a buy for me, because I can see people putting money into it just because they like that kind of stuff. Like corporations love this shit. So
yeah, I think I don't know that they'll get production ready and displace fine-tuned across all tasks. I think that like for things in Cocoa, maybe like, for example, like show me the chairs in this image, or show me like in that demo we just saw, there was a good example of just like knowing a lot about that a monster in a soup bowl made of wool. That's pretty specific. So I do think that we'll get something production ready here.
My worry is that thing will be some kind of, it'll be like Palantir or something will do it, right? Like it'll be some horrible privacy invading harbinger of doom for everyone except for Peter Thiel.
I'm a techno optimist. Phil keeps me grounded. All right, number 13. Number 13, generative AI for images. Oh, we talked about this. This is a good one to wrap on. Do you think that this is going to grow faster?
Big buy. Yeah, big buy for me. Once I saw this, right, it's one of those things that sometimes technology doesn't cross the threshold and your imagination is not sparked by it. But once you once you see the light, and we have started using, one evidence I have is that we have started using it in multiple projects. And not only that, because we were skeptical on how much money, how much effort it would take. To some of our clients, we gave a fixed bid. Usually we charge by the hour, but for some of these projects, we gave them a fixed bid that, oh, you just pay us this much, because we want to learn from real data.
So are you generating training data?
Spend more time and energy. Say that again?
Are you generating training data for these projects? Or you're generating?
No, this I don't know whether I'll be able to. We are generating from one image. We are generating a transformed version of that image in a interesting way, right? So those kinds of, or similar to Lensa, but in a different application domain, right? Yeah. So and we were able to do a very good job on those things, and it gives me a sense of
where things are going.
These things are ready. They are ready. They are more production ready than I thought initially last year, and so I feel that they will be used a lot.
I think that's exactly right. I think the V1.0 of like, you just get a whole image, you can't edit any part of it. We're going to get like edit very small parts of it. You can change the backgrounds. And that's going to happen.
We're already starting to see the in painting with Stable Diffusion and stuff.
Exactly. Like and I mean, the in painting, it's funny. It's like text guided.
Replace this spaceman with a cat and things like that. Like, yeah.
And it's funny that the in painting's text guided. Really what you want is like a visual. Yeah, I don't know. It just feels obvious that like we have some very strong, we have, as Satya said, production ready stuff, but it's also like so ready to be fine-tuned and improved and domain specificity. So here was the full wrap up of the buy, sell, holds. I think we definitely had a lot of buying. We'll see how our portfolio does over the span of the new year here. We're at a
yeah, we'll have planning to do this next year on OpenCV weekly webinar episode 130 or whatever it will be for the 2024 predictions. So join us next year for that. Let's do our giveaway real quick here. So this is going to be a little bit of OpenCV weekly webinar history for this week's giveaway. If you need a reminder or you're joining us for the first time, the way this works is I'm going to ask a trivia question, which is not based on this week's slides, but just based on your knowledge of OpenCV weekly webinar history on here, episode 86. If you're the first person to answer in the Zoom chat window, you will win the OpenCV course of your choosing and a Roboflow swag bag. The swag bag is actually pretty cool. I have had people try to steal do you still have the sunglasses in there?
Oh yeah.
I've had people try to steal my Roboflow sunglasses, so it's not like a lot of corporate swag. I'll say that much. If you have won in the last 2 months, please do not answer and let someone else get a chance to win. Here's our question. This is the 86th episode of OpenCV Weekly. What was the subject of the very first episode? What was the subject of the very first episode? Type your answers in the Zoom chat window. No, Mirza, it was not Ross. It'll be a little more specific. A little more specific. Man, I finally stumped him. Y'all were getting a little too cocky.
Should I give some hints?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I think there's one.
Yeah, that's close. Oh wow, they're coming in fast now. I think people looked at it.
Okay. All right. I think.
Hang on. Let me slow down the chat. What do I see? Oh, right there. I see Abdul Hakim. Is that what you see, Satya? I think that was the first one I saw. The very first episode was the
it was the AI competition.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
If we did not have AI competition, then we would have accepted OD as well, right? Which was Stefan. But
I think we got to go with AI competition. That was the title of the episode. So the correct answer there was OpenCV AI competition, and our winner is Abdul Hakim Yacob. Congratulations. Please send one email to phil@opencv.org. We'll make sure that you get your OpenCV course and figure out how to get you your swag bag. Let's see what else here. Join us next week, same bat time, same bat channel, 9 a.m. Pacific on Thursday for another exciting episode of OpenCV Weekly. Please check out opencv.org for facial recognition. Subscribe to the OpenCV newsletter, opencv.org/subscribe. Satya, any other things to pitch before we go home here?
Not really. I mean, again, thanks to Joseph for this whole thing, the way he presented it, the way organized it and everything. It's really, it was really engaging. And I just hope that Jim Cramer doesn't come out and say that AI is going to take off this year.
Yeah, that would be doom.
That would be like, that would be doom for us,
Not hopefully. I think we all have a better success rate than Jim Cramer.
All right. Yeah. So that's it. Thank you so much, Joseph. Thank you so much, Phil, and thanks our audience. It was I really enjoyed this show as always. Whenever Joseph is here, we have a very good time.
Absolutely.
I appreciate it. Pleasure as always. Thanks so much for having me, and hope to see you sometime soon. And thanks everybody for tuning in.
Yep, absolutely. I'd like to give a special thanks to On Base Productions, which is where I'm broadcasting from today in beautiful downtown Niles, Michigan. You can go to onbase.store to buy field notes. They're a licensed field notes reseller, as you can see behind me there. You can also go to onbaseproductions.com if you're in the Southwestern Michigan area, you need wedding photography, bar mitzvah, whatever. My brother Chuck will do it, and he'll do a great job.
Yeah, people have, I tease people every time that I'm in San Diego, the weather is great. Unfortunately, this week, the weather is really bad in San Diego, and I'm in Hawaii.
I was waiting for you to brag about that, and you held on until the end. I appreciate it.
80 degrees. All right.
Okay. It's snowing here in Michigan, so take care out there, everybody. We will see you next week.
Thanks so much for watching this episode of the webinar. Please hit that like button, subscribe, and don't forget to tap the little bell icon to be notified when new episodes drop. This week's episode was brought to you by OpenCV Courses. Learn computer vision and AI from the best at opencv.org/courses. If you'd like to be in the audience next week, subscribe to the OpenCV newsletter.